Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Right now in Warzone, obviously gameplay in general, gunfights in general feel a little bit different than they have for the past few months here within Black Ops 6 Warzone because they made some drastic changes to gunplay and to engagements with the Season 3 update. They mentioned that within the Season 3 patch notes, they were aiming to increase the TTK and increase the lethality in gunfights so that you do kind of feel like you melt. Although the inverse of this is that you also feel like you're getting melted. There's a lot of situations where it feels like you can't necessarily react, but subsequently by doing this update and buffing the damage of certain individual weapons, they have sort of broken the meta in a sense. They have created a pretty large imbalance that up until the Season 3 update, it wasn't much of an issue, and they have confirmed it's something that will go away in time, but the fact that they have done it so far, like I said, does create a larger problem, especially for players just now returning to Call of Duty. So this is actually the full-on statement from the official Season 3 patch note blog. When they get into their weapons section and they go through all the new weapons that are coming and everything, and they go through all the weapon updates and the buffs and the nerfs and stuff, they gave us this whole rundown of how they wanted gunfights to feel in Warzone right now, saying, reflecting on our 5th anniversary, it's important to acknowledge our journey in current state, including regards to combat. This milestone presents an opportunity to celebrate our successes and critically assess our shortcomings. The game is continuously evolved through the addition of new features, systematic enhancements, economic adjustments, and philosophical shifts in balancing. These improvements can help us better understand what's effective and where further refinements are needed. Hence why they felt the need to maybe shake things up with the meta and give gunfights a different feeling than what was going on with Black Ops 6, where we have a bit of a slower TTK. At times it felt like you were taking forever to take out an enemy. Then of course, because the servers, it also feels like you get melted at the same time, right? But there was sort of a clunkiness and sort of an awkwardness to that, and that was sort of a universal thing. We've been trending in that direction for a while. Ever since Warzone 2, the TTK has slowed down a lot, and it was like that in MW3 Warzone, and then obviously to start off Black Ops 6 Warzone. And then we see this complete shift in this meta and in how engagements play out, saying Warzone was designed to deliver the essence of a Call of Duty battle royale, combining exceptional precise gunplay with a strategic and intense limited life scenario. While this core principle remains intact, certain distractions have at times impacted the intended pacing and intensity of gameplay. Them basically saying that when it does take 15 bullets to take out an enemy, 20 bullets to take out an enemy, it feels like, and there's a slower TTK, gunfights become a little bit more monotonous because it's okay firing a couple of shots, hitting, and they go and they plate up, and then they peek out again, you fire a couple more shots, they hit, they go back, they plate up, kind of rinse and repeat. Building upon recent adjustments, such as the reduction of armor reserves to improve economic pacing, the plate thing has been an ongoing topic so far, of course, we are introducing substantial buffs to weapon damage, and this is the main focus here. Initially, these enhancements will focus on the Black Ops 6 catalog, subsequently extending to legacy weapons. So they admitted in the patch notes outright, we're gonna damage buff the Black Ops 6 guns, which is great because if you like the faster TTK and the feel of gameplay that's more similar to OG Warzone, where yes, the TTK was very snappy and it did feel like at times you absolutely got fried. If you're in the middle of a field, you really got to mind your life. You got to think a little bit more as you're pushing and as you're rotating, which I think adds a layer of depth to gameplay, which I think for the most part is good. Now it's a jarring change. It's something you really have to get used to for sure. The thing here is though, is that outright Black Ops 6's catalog gets buffed and the damage becomes way better and those weapons kill way quicker, and they leave the legacy weapons. So this means the 100, 150 plus guns that we've got between Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 are currently left behind. And that's an issue because a lot of players see Verdansk, they haven't been playing Warzone because they didn't enjoy Urzikstan. They didn't enjoy maybe the Black Ops 6 feel. They haven't played in a little bit. Obviously, they probably see Warzone 2 dropping Infinity Ward title. Maybe it's the revamp of Warzone. They come back, they play that for a little bit. They do some leveling there. They have things established, but then they shift away from it. It's not their jam because they completely redid everything with Warzone 2, right? Or maybe they came back for MW3. They liked the pacing of that more with Black Ops 6. Basically, if you haven't been grinding this year, readying up for this update with the return of Verdansk, and you have things set up from Black Ops 6, you're now at a severe disadvantage, which is rough because a huge portion of this update and all the hype behind Verdansk in Season 3 is going off of that nostalgia. And a lot of these MW2 and MW3 weapons we had as options, or we had as variants back in Warzone 1. And that's a lot of players returning to experience that nostalgia that haven't been here. We saw that with the player count spikes, you know, the first little bit of the season being out. So unless you've been playing this year, you're now competitively at a disadvantage until you go through and you start leveling up a lot of these new weapons that are in the game, like the Kilo and the AMAX and the HDR, some of those absolute meta options, or retroactively going back and leveling up other Black Ops 6 guns, which takes a lot of time. And a lot of players don't necessarily want to have to do that, spend 2-3 hours going through plunder and trying to level up guns, or going on a multiplayer to try and level up guns, right? They do say our goal with these changes is to increase the lethality of every encounter, hence they want that snappy TTK. Reinvigorate overlooked weapon classes, which they haven't done a ton so far. It's still a lot of rifles and SMGs and snipers dominating, which is going to be the main thing the vast majority of the time. And especially now looking back, it's not the MW2 SMGs, the MW3 SMGs, or the rifles, or the snipers in most cases. It's Black Ops 6, Black Ops 6, Black Ops 6. We also want to encourage players to adopt a more thoughtful and deliberate strategy in preparing for engagements. Although, beyond in-game, when you're rotating, you're trying to figure out how you want to push, there's not much thought going into engagements, how you want to approach it from a weapon standpoint, because the answer is obvious. It's Black Ops 6 or lose. And the stats back this up. We're here on True Game Data, and just last season, you know, in season 2, we were talking about several of these weapons as viable, you know, competitive choices. Things like the BAL-27, the BP-50, the MTZ, the SVA even. I wanted to throw in an MW2 weapon with the Geist there, just to see how they compare. And it's like, yeah, a season ago, these were neck and neck with several Black Ops 6 guns. There's still a feel difference there. Black Ops 6 weapons absolutely feel better from their behavioral standpoints, but damage-wise and competitively speaking, now there's a distinct imbalance. You can see the AK and the AMAX are running yellow lines, like they're well and above everything on this list. The Cyphers, not that far behind. What's very, very far behind, though, initially for the first, you know, close to mid-range areas there, the BAL is way back there, the BP-50 is way back there, the SVA, the MTZ, the Geist, and what's dropping off the earliest? All of those same weapons. In fact, there's really not any main MW2, MW3 weapons that are competing super well over long range outside of the BAL or bright blue line, and then the MTZ, which are still noticeably slower. You can see the TTK stats here, the AMAX sitting at 830 and AK 898. The BP-50's there, but then you also have the severe damage per mag issues at that range as well compared to those other guns. And then you have the MTZ at 969, the BAL at 986, and then we're up into the 1000s with a mix of MW2, MW3, then even the AIMs. But then again, the field comes into play, and that's certainly advantaging the AIMs there over the other options. So there's a distinct gap in like the mid to long range meta, and it's even more noticeable up close. You look at a list of SMGs from all three games, the C9, the HRM9, the Jackal, the KSV, the Compact, the PPSH, and then things like the Static, the Super E, the Wasp 9, and all these weapons that have the slower TTKs are not BO6 guns. Not only do you have the mobility and the field benefits already applied to the Black Ops 6 guns, you now have the distinct TTK advantages too. I mean, the slowest option here are orange lines, surprise, surprise, MW3. HRM. The next slowest, the bright pink, the Static, surprise, surprise. The Super E, obviously a movement SMG that we were using just a season ago. Third worst TTK up close, and by far the most harsh drop off that we have here. Meanwhile, all the versatile, all the aggressive SMGs, yellow line, the Compact, the white line, the PPSH, the red line, the C9, you just don't have a reason to do anything but use Black Ops 6 guns if you want to excel in game. And with how heavy the skill-based matchmaking is forced into gameplay, you're gonna constantly run into the situation of, if you have a meta weapon, you are competing. If you're trying to play off meta for a long time until the system picks up that you're getting slammed, which could take 2, 3, 4, 5 games of repetition, at that point, you're just not having fun because you're losing all your gunfights. It's forcing you into this very niche meta now that is a lot less diverse than it was just a season ago, and we don't know how long it's going to take to fix that. So unless you are a Black Ops 6 grinder and you've been on this game for some time, you definitely have a lot more work to get caught up to Warzone, which is a bit unfortunate, like I said earlier, given the fact that so much of this was welcome back, we're going home, jump in and experience all the new stuff. And if you have to spend time leveling all the things to fully complete a loadout, you're definitely not going to be able to jump back in and enjoy all that new stuff right away. You have to go through and do all the groundwork beforehand, which is an interesting decision here. We had what was a pretty balanced meta for the most part. There was still a lot of work needed on MW2 and MW3 guns, specifically MW2. Like, if they're going to be in the game and cause bloat, they might as well be useful, and they just really haven't been, and they even more so are not now. So this is definitely a concern. We do know that it's going to change over time, but it's just a matter of when. It could be season 3 reloaded, which would be great, you know, being able to jump back in with an MCW loadout or an MP7 like we used to use all the time back on Verdansk, and you know, some of the classic weapons like that. But it also could be season 4 or season 5. We just don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. So I'm hoping we get more communication on this, because there definitely is a broken element to the meta. As fun as the absolute meta choices are right now, beyond that, you are much more limited. We as a player base are much more limited in what's actually going to be usable, you know, to a vast extent there, I would say. But that being said, that is going to wrap things up for this video. If you enjoyed it, you found the information helpful, you want to shed more light on this topic, a like rating is always seriously appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, you want to guarantee that every single day you were in the know for all things going on in COD, feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.